Hi, this is Bill for Sparky Channel, coming to you from the Disney Coronado Resort in Orlando, Florida, and we're bringing you the Ideal National Championship. Here are the 30 professional competitors that will be moving on to round 2, being called to step forward. If you watched Sparky Channel's round 1 action, you'll be happy to know that competitors such as James Jones of Mechanicsville, Virginia, and Charles Harned from Iowa made it to the second round. Here is the second round action, which has just gotten underway. The workspace has an electrical wireway, an obstruction, and 2 segments of strut already in place. The competitors must finish the work by bending 4 bend saddles and installing 4 3/4-inch EMT conduit in parallel to clear the obstruction and connect the existing wireway to a new 12-inch by 12-inch by 4-inch pole box that the competitors must install on the other end of the conduit run. This is Lowell Peterson of Oklahoma. This is Andreas Pena of Minnesota. And this is Seth Agnew from Maryland. Seth is a very skilled and very popular competitor. Here he's putting the 4 fittings on the 12 by 12 by 4 box. And here's Greg Anlicker. This is last year's winner. He won $75,000 in this professional competition last year. So this is the guy that I'm going to concentrate on, partially because I really enjoy watching him. He doesn't move too fast. He sets a really good pace. He works safely, and he works smart. The competitors are required to cut, bend, and install 4 conduit in parallel. No box offsets are required. Conduit is to enter straight off the strut and into each enclosure. They are to have 1 factory end not cut by the electrician. The conduits are to be evenly spaced at 2 inches on center and in parallel to each other along the entire length. The 4 bend saddles must be proportional and uniform and provide 1/2 inch clearance over the obstacle. The conduit segment crossing over the obstruction is not to exceed 12 inches in length. The 90-degree bends radii are to be on center. Horizontal portions are to be installed level along their length. All conduit will be examined to be free of dog legs, rolls, ripples, and kinks. Competitors will only be allowed 5 sticks of 3/4 EMT. All measurements must be within plus or minus 1/8 inch. All conduit must be cut square and reamed. All connectors must be properly secured and uniformly aligned. Here Greg is measuring up for the 4-point saddle bends. Since his obstacle has about 2.5 inches rise and he needs to clear it by 1/2 inch, he will need his conduit to be a total of 3 inches to get over the obstacle with his bends. He'll need to make 4 bends to create each 4-point saddle bend, and all 4 bends must be the same angle. Now he's grabbing his ideal bender. All 4 of Greg's bends are going to be 30 degrees. Now he just put the hook of his bender, and he's aligning the arrow on the bender with one of the middle lines, and he has the hook facing the middle of those 4 marks. And that was a 30-degree bend right there. Now he's going to do the same thing on the second piece of conduit. See, he's got them all lined up. See how quick he's doing it? And notice how he puts the hook on the conduit. He just snaps it right over. See, just like that. Okay, he puts it right on the line. He's putting the arrow right on the line. And now he has made the 4th identical 30-degree bend. And now right away, he has put the hook of the bender head on the conduit. The hook is facing the opposite direction as it did for the first 4 bends. He's got it on the second middle line, and see, he had to line up. I'll show you on this one. He's going to line up the handle of the bender with the long piece of pipe. And he's going to put that down on the ground. He's lining up the handle with the conduit, and there's another 30-degree bend. Okay, now he's going to do that for all 4 pieces of conduit. He just snaps that bender head with the hook right on the conduit. The hook is facing the middle of those 4 marks, and now he's going to line it up. It's very important that you line up the conduit with the handle, or you'll get something called a dog leg, which is a crooked bend. It's something you really don't want. And now he's working on the 4th conduit. This will be the 4th identical bend, and now he's lining it up again, the handle with the conduit. Okay, let's check out, see what Seth is doing here. So, Seth's a tough competitor. So he's got one of the bends made on one side, and he's checking it out. He's putting it up on the board. He's really hustling. That's Seth Agnew. He's a very tough competitor. Okay, let's go back over to Greg here, and he's putting another bend on one of the pipes, and he's going to go for the 4th bend now. Now you're going to see a 4-point saddle bend. Watch, he's got to get it all in the same plane. He's sighting right down it, and there it is. That's a 4-point saddle bend right there. And let's see how he likes it. He's going to check it out, put it on the foot, maybe just adjust it just a little bit. Sight right down the line. Okay, he likes that one. All right, so take the second one and put it on one of his marks. Okay, so this is the 3rd bend. Okay, now one more, and you'll have a 4-point saddle bend again. Now here it comes. Get it sighted right down the line. Get it nice and straight. Get it all in the same plane. And there we go. Now he's going to check it out on the floor. It doesn't quite like that. He needs to adjust a little bit. This is a good lesson. Don't freak out if it's not just right. A lot of times you can just give it a little adjustment and fix it. So he's going to put it on the bender again and give it just a little more. And try that out. That looks pretty good. Okay, he's got 2 done. These really all need to be identical, to make it look really good for the judges. So, there we go. And you notice these bends now are up in the air. The first couple were on the ground, and now it's up in the air like this. Okay, so He's making the fourth bend, and it looks like he's got another 4-point saddle bend. Let's check it out. He's gonna put it on the, no, he liked that one. Okay, so this is number 4 now. Greg has the hook of his bender facing the middle of the 4 marks, and he has the long portion of the conduit on his shoulder. Now he's just made the 30-degree bend. He flips it around the other way, and once again he's going to have the hook of his bender facing the middle of his marks. Now this is a difficult one to do because there's such a length in front of him, and there he just made the 4th 30-degree bend. Now, without hesitation, Greg is going to start working on the next step, which is the 90-degree stubs. Now he's looking at the wall where he wrote down the measurements that he needs. See, he looked ahead, he planned ahead and wrote those figures so he doesn't have to be doing a lot of measuring right now. Greg is going to be making these stub bends using the star on his bender with the hook facing the bend. He's not going to be using the arrow this time. Greg will be starting with the innermost conduit. This one's going to be the shortest, both horizontally and vertically. Now the distance between the conduits is going to be 2 inches. So each conduit will need to be 2 inches longer horizontally and 2 inches longer vertically as we get away from the innermost conduit. Now Greg's going to use his hacksaw to cut the conduit, and he had the length that he needed to cut it to written on the wall there, and now he's reaming it out with his pliers, both the inside and the outside. The competitors weren't given a bandsaw for this contest. He's going to be putting 4 fittings on the electrical wire way.
Got a stripped out connector. I need a 1 3/4 inch. Oh no, I think I have a spare. I got a spare.
Okay, Greg's going to be putting the 4 fittings on the box, and here's an example of Greg using his head, because he put the box up first and now he's putting the fittings. That way he doesn't have to do the work on his knees. Less wear and tear on your knees. Okay, here's Seth here. He's making the second bend of a 4-point saddle bend. Looks like he's got that one nice and straight. He's got all the marks on his pipe there, and he's getting it the way he wants it, putting it in there, and okay, he's going to do this one on the ground. That's interesting. Okay, back to Greg here, doing some measurements. Oh, he's getting his spacing, I believe. 2-inch on-center spacing. That's a must. You gotta have 2-inch on-center spacing, and 2-inch on-center spacing at the box as well. Greg is being smart here as well. He's making the marks on the struts, on both of the struts. This will give him a little extra advantage in keeping these conduits exactly 2 inches apart. Okay, so here's the first conduit. As I said, this conduit is the shortest, both horizontally and vertically. So Greg's getting them into the fittings there, and he'll be tightening down the fit. He'll be doing his best to align the conduit with his marks on the struts and to get it going across the obstacle as well as he can. Okay, now here's Seth, and he's making the 4-point saddle bend. And let's see, he's got it down on the floor there. Let's go back over and see Greg. Okay, so he's making another mark where he's going to be making the 90-degree stub bend with the star on his bender. The hook is facing the bend, and there's a 90-degree stub made by Greg. And now he's looking at the wall and getting his measurement. The measurement goes to the back of the bend, and you can do that by running your tape down to the floor. So now he puts the conduit on the head of his bender, and he's going to be cutting it with a hacksaw. Okay, then the next step is always to ream out the conduit. Those pliers are made for reaming. Apparently, though, they didn't provide the contestants with a reamer, but those pliers are made to do that job. And then these fittings are normally tightened down with a number 2 square driver. So that one looks pretty good. That looks like it's got a nice 2-inch spacing from the first conduit. He's doing well. And he's looking at the wall again, getting his distance. This is the third one. Now, this one's going to be 2 inches longer than the previous one. And he puts his star right on the mark with the hook facing the bend. He steps on the conduit, and here's a 90-degree stub. Now, he looks again at the wall, and he's seeing the measurement he needs to make from the floor, which would give him the back of the bend measurement. And now he's putting the conduit on the head of the bender, and once again, using his hacksaw. Okay, so next step would be to ream the conduit, both inside and out. And you always want to ream your conduit so that your wires aren't nicked while they're run through the conduit. There's nothing there to nick them. You got to ream the conduits. Okay, so here's the third one. Let's see how it turns out here. The spacing looks good. Okay, now this one should be 2 inches longer than the previous one before he makes the bend. Notice these guys aren't consulting any charts or anything on how to make these bends or where to put the marks. It's all in their head. And you look down the row there, and everyone's working hard. This gentleman coming up in the blue shirt is the one that made up all these contests. So I think he did a great job. His name's Jeff. Here's the fourth conduit, and he's putting the conduit into fittings, and he's going to tighten those fittings down with the number 2 square. It looks like the innermost conduit and the next conduit after that might be a little tight. The distance might not be just right. But not to worry. When you put the straps on, it can fix little imperfections like that. And you always have to have straps, per code. So he's putting the straps on the struts. And he's got his marks on the struts there. So if he just tightens the conduits on the right marks on the struts, that will automatically straighten out small imperfections. Okay, he's going to put the cover on the box, on the 12 by 12 by 4 box. Now Greg will install his second set of straps on the other strut. And here's Seth. So you look down the line, you can see the various levels of progress of the different competitors. And you can see that Greg's doing pretty well in comparison to others. Pretty darn well. The struts eliminate the need for box offsets. So that made their job quite a bit easier, really. And there's struts underneath the pipes that are the obstacles as well. Greg is checking everything out, making sure he's got everything, and he hits the clock. That's it. He's done. He's 10 minutes early. The target time for this contest was 35 minutes, and everyone has to stop at 40 minutes. A great job. I can't believe it.
They're not perfect, but they're pretty good.
All right, let's check out the work. Here's the 4 connectors right here. We go over to a strut with connectors, and here's the 4-point saddle bends, and you can see the pipes are on struts as well, and you can see all the marks and the work. And so, and here we come to the 90-degree radiuses, and right on up to the box, to the strut, and then up to the box. So there you go. So comment down below what you think. I'll put links in my video description for the ideal 3/4 inch ductile iron EMT bender with handle. I'll also put links for the ideal ductile iron 1 inch and 1/2 inch EMT benders, and I'll put links for the ideal aluminum benders in the same sizes. Also, I'll put links for the tools seen in round 1, including the ideal Twister ProFlex connectors and the ideal FT45 feed-through modular plug crimp tool. Thanks!
I'm going to be calling your name if you are going to advance to the next round. Join me in the center, Tim Morris. Clay Noga. Where are you, James Jones? Christopher Parody. Jeff Pallotta. He's got a long list. Manuel Morales Jr. Where's old Roman? Get up here, Roman. Gus Sanchez. Where's Will Barnett? Eric Marks. Nicholas Devaney. Nicholas?
Number 31, you're up.
All right. Charles Harder. Lee Lewis. Greg Edlinger. Josh Cole. Bobby Mantel. Where's Jones at? This is getting much shorter now. Andreas Pinell. Jared Warner. Stephen Breeze. James Nielsen. Joshua Tower.
all right.